Hello, welcome back. Tara Kabatoff here, and we are going to be looking at the origin, beliefs, and patterning behind skin issues. Now, this is part of a series that I'm uploading on YouTube here, speaking to beliefs and the body. And in this video, we are looking at skin, and this can also relate to acne, to any kind of skin issues, not so much rashes, but I will be uploading a separate video for acne, and you can think symbolically. This is going to be the biggest clue when you're navigating your body's messages, is understanding the symbolic meaning of what that body part or the type of illness or disease or ache or pain, what the body part or the type of issue that you might be facing is communicating from a symbolic message. And these videos are going to help connect the dots so that you can be a self-healer and you can step into the role of self-mastery. And this content here, decoding the body's messages, will help you not only heal your body, but understand your deeper patternings, the deeper origin of some of these very difficult complications that we can have within ourselves that lead to emotional difficulties, that lead to mental strain, that lead to behavioral patterns of ways of functioning and doing and even perceiving reality. This is the web that we have within ourselves. And truly, when you start to decode and uncover your body's messages and these patterns, you will free yourself to be more of who you truly are. Therefore, create from a different place, function from a different place, feel from a different place, a place that is so much more liberating than before. And this work is inspired by Messages from the Body, Dr. Michael Lincoln. This work has been integral for the change I have experienced in my life and continually to do so. By understanding myself, I have taken healing into my own hands. I have taken therapy into my own hands. I've taken it all into my own hands to understand why I'm feeling a certain way, why I am stuck, why I am thinking certain things, my perceptions on reality, my blind spots, my shadow. This work will truly help you understand the deeper correlations within yourself so that you can take mastery into your own hands, as I mentioned. Now, when we look at skin, you can think symbolically for skin. Skin is the outer layer of ourselves. Therefore, it will have a relationship with how we feel regarding the outer world, how the outer world perceives us, or how we may feel about the outer world, right? So the skin is our outer layer. And when we even look at the face for acne, which is going to be a separate video, but you can also use this content here to maybe decode some of your deeper messages and maybe relate it to maybe face if you're dealing with acne or other skin issues. But skin issues is more generic, and it is going to relate with the outer world, how we relate with the outer world, how we feel about the outer world, and there are going to be some other messages as well. But the face is going to be of identity. So if you are experiencing acne or any skin issues on the face area, this will have to do with something around your identity, your sense of self, and how you are seen and perceived in the world. Maybe feeling afraid or concealing or hiding or feeling insecure or unsure of who you are and how you can present yourself in the outer world and in the world, I should say. So I'm going to dissect this. We're going to go deep into skin issues. I'm going to leave timestamps below that you can skip ahead at a later date. We're going to look at the behavioral patterns that are associated. So remember, when we are children, and if you want to go back into past life experiences, if you believe in that, if you subscribe to it, if you practice it, you can go further. But in childhood, we have deeply ingrained beliefs that are formed during our formative years. And these beliefs are formed through experiences. They can be experiences on the emotional level, on the mental level, on the physical level, or energetic level. So there are many different ways we can experience and interpret life. And based on the outer experiences that we have in our life, we then form false beliefs that overshadow our true beliefs, and our true beliefs are connected with our true, authentic, pure self. And this work allows for the dismantling of the false beliefs so we can become more true, we can become more real and liberated of the false beliefs that we are carrying. From the beliefs, then the behavioral patterns are formed. So the behavioral patterns are a response to the beliefs. The beliefs are in the very origin. The behavioral patterns are how we interact with the world, what holds us back, how we also see and perceive reality. And then the body is the final messenger, is the final point after this chain of events that is happening within ourselves. The body is communicating with us. And the more we can understand our body rather than masking or medicating or finding external solutions, we can understand our deeper origin of self, right? So it's not necessarily about fixing the body, although that is where we're looking at, but it's also decoding the whole web of behaviors and beliefs within ourselves. And when we understand the web and we understand these correlations, these changes happen faster and faster, and we become more free as a result, right? So if we are looking to external solutions and medications and therapies, etc., we are not understanding where it came from in the first place. We're not understanding the link within ourselves that will still be there if we aren't looking within on this level. So yes, we all have the ability to heal ourselves. I have healed myself of skin issues. It took me honestly several months to work through because it was quite serious. But because the beliefs ran so deep within myself, it took quite a long time to work through. However, during the process, I uncovered a lot more about myself that needed to be seen and that needed to be understood for myself to move through the difficulties that I was harboring unconsciously, unknowingly. Okay, so again, timestamps are going to be left in this video. We are going to look at the behavioral patterns. We are going to look at the true and false beliefs associated with this. And then we're going to look at where this came from, the origin of these patterns and beliefs, and then how to heal. So there are going to be timestamps below. You can skip ahead at any time, but let's dive into the origin of skin issues. First, we're going to look at the behavioral characteristics. The first one is going to be a heightened sensitivity to criticism, judgment, or rejection. There is a constant concern with how others perceive them and how they fit into societal norms and how they view themselves. Feelings of embarrassment, shame, and guilt are common. All right, so if you resonate with any of these, and by the way, these are not the passages from the book, these are condensed. I took key points and extracting the highlights of skin issues because there's a lot of content around skin issues. But I will be also offering how to heal through this. Remember, awareness is key. When we understand how we're feeling about life and interacting with life, and we can see ourselves in the process, that is healing. Awareness does more than we may realize. So to understand if these are resonating with you, you can take time to reflect and see if any of these behavioral characteristics are showing up in your life throughout your day, how you're feeling within yourself, how you're interacting with people. The behaviors are going to be a very key part of this, but sometimes our ego doesn't want to see the behaviors. And also, if we are operating through our shadow, or if our shadow is operating us, and again, this is unknowingly, unconsciously, it's hard for us to witness these behaviors within ourselves. So it will require, again, self-reflection. But when you tilt your lens and see that aspect within yourself, you set yourself free. And it is as simple as that. The next behavioral characteristic is low self-esteem, and a sense of inferiority may persist, accompanied by fears of ostracism or not meeting expectations. They often overextend themselves to prove competence or value in areas beyond their control. With this particular case, there are going to be feelings and sensations of low confidence. Now, what can happen as a result is we may develop a very strong exterior and a very strong persona to hide what we are trying to protect within ourselves. So if it's shame or guilt or low confidence, an individual can create a very, very, very strong persona externally as a result. So you have to think of skin is our outer layer, and it can relate to identity. It can relate to identity, our expression of self, again, what we are creating as an outer shell, an outer layer, and how that outer layer is represented in contrast of how we're feeling internally. Now, we can, of course, express that we have low confidence, but the outer layer of ourself is that almost the gateway in a way for people to feel us, to understand us, to make sense of us. It's that first interaction is our outer persona, if you will, but how we hold ourselves and how we show up, how we are presenting ourselves is tied to that outer aspect of ourself, that layer right in between the inner self and the outer world. And so this is going to, the skin represents the aspect of the relationship with the outer world, that fine layer that we have within ourselves of how we are showing up, what we are exhibiting as far as, again, confidence or low confidence, feeling ashamed, feeling worthy. And this is going to take quite a lot of wrestling with to see how you or a person would understand what they're holding back and what is being created because of that. And I am going to explain this more in How to Heal, but understanding these behavioral characteristics will give you a very strong clue as to what may be under the surface and the identity that may be created, or the mask that may be created as a result of something deeper that has not been resolved. The next behavioral characteristic is a strong drive to elevate others' consciousness and integrate spiritual or meaningful energy into the world, often alongside frustration when their sensitivity is misunderstood or rejected. In this case, an individual may want to help others, elevate people, spiritually or in any kind of way, but then again, there's a mismatch between what is happening externally versus internally. So if they feel that they're misunderstood or that they're not valued or even rejected, there's going to be a contrast within themselves versus what they are trying to put out into the world or what they're trying to offer the world. There may be a tendency to withdraw or protect their individuality when faced with intrusive, hostile, or invalidating environments. This withdrawal is a survival mechanism against being exploited for their sensitivity or emotional openness. Now, again, thinking of that outer layer, if we feel that the environment is hostile or it's unsafe or it's uncomfortable, then the individual may tend to withdraw because their outer sensitivities are being heightened or being triggered. So the outside is the barrier to what is happening in the external. It in some way creates the translation inward towards oneself, hitting their wounds that is unsafe. So they may tend to withdraw altogether and remove themselves from the environment. Regarding intrusiveness as well, this can be a personal boundary, a barrier that someone may feel very sensitive towards. Now, if an individual from their outer environment and outer life is starting to invade that space, they can feel very unsafe and be very isolating as a result, or create a great deal of isolation as a result. There may be experiences of intense irritation, impatience, and frustration that emerge from buried fears, unresolved conflict, and the pressure of unmet longings. Unexpressed emotions may surface in subtle or overt ways, including the skin as a reflection of internal tension. Right? So we wear our emotions on our skin. As tough as someone is, their emotions are seen. Now, if you're a sensitive person, a sensitive type, if you pick up on a lot of clues and cues from other people, like I do, then you will be able to understand someone immediately based on what they're carrying on their face, their facial expressions, again, body posture, how they are positioned, how they are interacting with the world, their gestures, facial gestures, eye movement. This, and I know eyes aren't part of skin, but it's all related to the emotional self and the way we are presenting ourselves and the emotions and the energetic self that is being presented in part of the whole picture, right? So our emotions are speaking to other people through our face, through our body posture, through our skin, yes, through many different subtle, nuanced clues and cues that we are sending out to the world, right? So our emotions, our unmet, unacknowledged emotions are going to be represented in some kind of way externally. So in this case, when it mentions these unexpressed emotions may surface in unexpected ways, they can be in body posture, it can be in language, it can be in projections. All of a sudden, something coming out, and it may be very uncontrollable and being expressed in a very unconscious way. So again, when we are able to see this more within ourselves, we are expanding consciousness and awareness within ourselves. And this is not about judging ourselves or being hard on ourselves or critical towards ourselves. This simply is an opportunity for us to see ourselves more so we can release from these patterns. And of course, then as a result, our body is going to respond. We're now going to look at true and false beliefs. First, before we dive into this, remember that false beliefs are not our true beliefs. Now, what it means is we have experienced many things in our life, difficulties through observation, through firsthand experience, passed down traumas, etc. They create false beliefs that are within ourselves, and they overshadow our true beliefs. Now, our true beliefs are based on our true whole self. And when we have worked through the difficulties within ourselves, we become more pure. We become more whole. We live and function without friction, without conflict, without inner turmoil, without suffering. So we have to know our false beliefs versus our true beliefs in order for us to dismantle the false beliefs and awaken more of our true beliefs. The first of the false beliefs here are going to be, I'm flawed, unworthy, or always under scrutiny. The true belief will be, I am inherently valuable, and my sensitivity is a strength, not a flaw. Another false belief could be love and affection are dangerous or harmful. A true belief is going to be, I am safe to seek and receive love and connection. Another false belief could be, I must always control or prove myself to be accepted. The true belief will be, I am enough as I am. My worth is not contingent on performance or approval. And finally, another false belief will be, the world is threatening and unsafe. I must withdraw to survive. The true belief for this will be, I can engage with life while maintaining my boundaries and integrity. Now, beliefs are not exactly things that we say. These beliefs come out in how we react and how we respond to life. You may say some of these things by chance, maybe in a heat of a moment, but these false beliefs most likely are going to be so deeply ingrained that it's hard to put words to these false beliefs. These false beliefs will arise as an emotion, as thoughts, as perceptions, and of course, as behaviors of action and actions. Take some time to reflect on these beliefs and how they resonate with you. And the true beliefs are going to require deep reflection and integration, embodiment, right? And I'll get into that when we move into how to heal. The next area that we're going to look at is the origin cause. So where these developed in the first place. The first is going to be growing up as a highly sensitive individual in a severely denial-dominated, dysfunctional family that exploited and misunderstood emotional openness. Sensitivity was met with criticism, manipulation, or abuse. Now, if an individual as a child was very emotionally sensitive, which I feel we all can be, some more than others, highly sensitive people for sure, but as a child, being very emotional and sensitive, being met with manipulation, criticism, or abuse creates a fracturing of self. It's almost as if a child is flowing through life, expressing as it does, as it feels it's supposed to and meant to and feels natural. And then all of a sudden it's met with harshness and criticalness and maybe manipulation, which can distort a child's reality altogether, or even abuse, right? So it's going to require some gentle self-reflection to look back without criticizing the family system, because again, these are passed down patterns. The parents are passing them down, and we get a chance to break them through observing and getting real and honest about these experiences. And again, it's not through criticizing or blaming or feeling ashamed for what you've gone through. And be gentle with yourself as you go through this process. But I encourage you to reflect, and the more you can see and understand, the more this will lift from yourself. The next origin causation can be from experiences of being perceived as different, disturbing, or alarming, which created a sense of alienation and stranger in a strange land. So remember, the skin being our outer layer, it's how we identify, it's how people perceive us. And if people are perceiving us based on their distorted lenses and wounds, then we will take it so personally, thinking that we are flawed and there's something wrong with us. So our identity shifts, our relationship with the outer world shifts based on that outer layer of self. Another causation could be early patterns of withdrawal, suppression, or emotional masking developed as survival mechanism to protect individuality and integrity. So, for example, if a child had to be tough, or felt that they weren't able to express their emotions, so they held it in all together, this will create a certain distortion of one's individuality, self-identification, or self-understanding. So again, when we match the outer world based on our experiences, based on what other people perceive and see, based on what other people project onto us, then we form and morph ourselves, we adjust ourselves to the external. Right? And we do this naturally. This is a natural occurrence as children. We are adaptive, we are morphing, we are changing with the environment. And so if we are taking on a lot of emotional difficulties from other people, or if people are maybe telling us to suck it up and to not be emotional and to not be sensitive, then we will think that our sensitivities are actually bad and it's not okay to be expressive or to be sensitive or to have feelings or to be soft and tender. And so we distort our inner self based on the external experiences. Continuous exposure to fear, shame, and rejection taught that love and affection could be dangerous, creating long-standing anxiety and mistrust. This will create severe distrust within a child moving into adult life, feeling that love, connection, closeness is dangerous. Anything emotional is dangerous, so they can shut themselves down, withdraw altogether, and create a very thick protective layer as a protection mechanism in their outer self. Unrealized longings, blocked expression, and environmental hostility contributed to a lack of inner peace and harmony, leaving them continuously uneasy, unsettled, and hyper-aware of external threats. Similar as what I mentioned regarding blocked expression, feeling that it's not safe to express, to be vulnerable, to be emotional, to maybe react in certain ways or to share in certain ways, especially if it was met with an unstable, hostile environment, even unpredictable family environment, there would be a lack of peace within oneself. Also scanning the room for external threats. This can lead to hypervigilance when one is constantly on alert for threats. The next section, we're going to look at how to heal. The first one is awareness. Reflect on these points through meditation or journaling and cultivate mindfulness throughout your day when any of the patterns mentioned earlier arise. Awareness heals and is easier than we think. Really, when we see our patterns, when we are able to look back at our past, when we are able to connect the dots, when we are able to decode our body's messages, we heal ourselves, and awareness is our way through this. Awareness allows ourselves to see more of ourselves and allows ourselves to feel more of ourselves and to understand our relationship with life in the past and in the present. So awareness will heal, will dissolve the layers, will be able to lift energy from ourselves. It will change everything, and it is that simple. Okay, so I know I say that we don't need external, but I don't also want to tell anyone what to do. If you feel that you need external medication or supplements or therapies, by all means, that's all fine. You can have them as a complement, because this also may take a lot of work depending on where you're at with your healing and with your life. So you may need to incorporate different techniques, modalities, supplements, etc., which is all fine. But awareness is so powerful and is so simple. And this is the work that I've been doing over the last several years. And from just awareness alone, it has created a great deal of transformation in my life. The next is going to be honor your sensitivity as a strength rather than a perceived flaw. Allow yourself to feel deeply without shame or guilt. I talk about this often. Feelings and sensitivity is so important to acknowledge and to integrate and to work with. We are in a society where I'm sure we can all relate at some point in our life growing up where sensitivity was maybe shamed or criticized or frowned down upon or ignored altogether. So we shoved it down, we suppressed it, and we carried on in a different way of functioning and in a different way that wasn't part of our true way. Returning to our emotions and our sensitivity is a learning process unto its own, but your emotions and your sensitivity is your superpower. It is a beautiful, beautiful thing. We can, through this process, feel even more sensitive. I've talked about this before. As we go through healing and digging into these deeper aspects of ourselves, we may feel even more sensitive, and that is normal. We have to go through the phase in order to recalibrate our system and to reconnect with our sensitivities that have been shoved down since long ago. So sensitivity will be a requirement, and I feel just a requirement in general for us to reconnect with ourself and with the rhythm of life. Practice self-compassion and embody your worthiness daily, countering the belief that you must earn love or approval, right? So if our sensitivity, our love, our light has not been acknowledged, understood, seen, appreciated, valued, etc. in early life, we tend to revert to the conditioned way of performing for something that will never be acknowledged, right? So when I say this, it's a pattern that gets developed, that becomes developed where we feel unconsciously, unknowingly, that the more we perform, the more we do, there will be some kind of reward, some kind of affection or love as a result, but it will never happen. The only way we will be able to return to love within ourselves is bringing it into ourselves and feeling at peace within ourselves, loving ourselves, accepting ourselves, and feeling worthy about ourselves, not seeking worth externally or validation or proving externally. That is only going to perpetuate the cycle, and we will never reach that goal. Trust me. With this exercise, this is about bringing the sense of worthiness within ourselves, back within ourselves, to integrate it, to feel more worthy, to feel more love and compassion towards ourselves. Therefore, we will not need to strive externally and put ourselves out over and over and over again and be disappointed over and over and over again, because we will already feel worthiness within ourselves. We will already feel whole and complete. We will already feel unconditional love. Therefore, there will not be the need to strive for it any longer. This takes some time to bring it back into ourselves, to be at peace with ourselves, to not strive and push and create a persona and protective mechanism. Right. But again, awareness is going to be very key, and bringing in worthiness, the feeling of worthiness, and wholeness in your daily practice is going to be also very important. And by this, worthiness is going to be embodying it within the very core of your being. How does it feel to be worthy? What does that mean for you when you're not thinking externally, but fully and wholly within yourself? How does it feel to feel worthy? How does it feel to love yourself? How does it feel to be complete within yourself? How does it feel to love your sensitivities and everything about you and who you are? Set clear boundaries to protect your individuality and energy from exploitative or intrusive environments. This is part of a video that I uploaded. I went live recently as I record this video talking about family dynamics. Specifically, I was talking about a situation I went through recently. When we develop more respect and love and compassion for ourselves and worthiness for ourselves, we naturally will be very careful of who we let in our life and where we invest our time with and who we invest our time with. This will start to change when we do not feel worthy, when our confidence has been diminished, when we have a separation of self. We will naturally attract relationships in our life that will try to teach us to improve these areas, but they most likely will match where we are at until we work on ourselves more and more and elevate past these points of being included in harsh environments or being projected on or being part of other people's difficulties, etc. And even, I would say, being part of difficult environments in general. When we don't know who we are, when we are not confident with who we are, and when there's a separation of self, we naturally are going to gravitate to a wide range of experiences and relationships because we don't know who we are. We don't have the filter and the understanding of what feels right for us. And we do not have the confidence or again, compassion and respect for ourselves. Therefore, we will just bump around and haphazardly put ourselves in uncomfortable situations, therefore continually feeling discouraged, frustrated, etc. So when we work on this, we're bringing ourselves back into wholeness, reconnecting with love that we have within ourselves, the wholeness that we have within ourselves, and the identity of self, the identity based on our authentic self. Therefore, we are naturally going to have very strong boundaries around who we let in and who we invest our time with. That will be a natural byproduct of the respect and love that we have for ourselves. The next is explore healthy outlets for irritation, frustration, and suppressed emotions, such as potentially expressive arts, movement, or journaling. We are naturally going to experience fluctuations of emotions as we move through this. Some days there may be a lot of frustration. Some days there may be a great deal of emotional weight that you're carrying from other people. This is all normal and it's all natural. This is how we find our way through. But when we hit a moment where our emotions are heightened, where we may feel very angry or very sad, there needs to be an outlet for this rather than harboring it in and reverting back to suppressing our emotions, which can come from this particular issue. So we need an outlet to express. If it is, again, journaling, you can yell into the safety of your own space. Just be very mindful of how your energy is being projected. This is conscious work that we're doing here, is being aware of how we are expressing ourselves, how we are the outlet that we are using as a way to express these deep emotions. So the more conscious work that we can do, the easier the transformation will occur. It's when we are operating unconsciously, unknowingly, dumping onto people, projecting onto people. That's where our shadow is taking over and operating us, not us operating ourselves consciously. And so there's a difference, right? So we can operate, we can function, we can project, we can rage, we can be sad, we can hurt ourselves, we can hurt others because we're operating unconsciously. Our shadow is operating us. Or we can work consciously, being aware of, okay, I'm getting triggered, my emotions are coming up, I need to express, I'm frustrated, I hate my life, I hate this person, la la la, whatever it is. Move through it consciously. And the more conscious work that you can allow for yourself to maneuver through, the greater awareness you will develop, and you will work with your body as it is moving emotions through you. Gradually allow yourself to trust others and engage socially without fear or rejection or judgment. So this is going to be very gradual baby steps towards feeling safe around others. You may open your door and let life in a little bit more, go out and meet people. You may get discouraged, you may get triggered, and that is okay. Every time we get triggered, we get discouraged. When we're met with a situation that is trying to show us something deeper within ourselves, we are then able to see another layer within. And that's how this works, right? So it may not be perfect if we go out and open our door and interact with other people, but we learn through doing. We learn through this practice. We learn through experimenting a little bit, testing the waters, opening the door, being a little bit more sociable, but then also seeing where we are being triggered, where we are holding ourselves back, where we are judging others, maybe because we feel that we are being judged, right? So being very mindful of the mirroring that's happening during these interpersonal reactions, they're going to give you even more layers to work through to free yourself even more. Work on forgiveness of past family or relational wounds to release long-held resentment and self-protective withdrawal. Forgiveness is the key to liberation, to freedom. I know it can be very difficult, and it may take quite a long time to move through the process of forgiving and releasing the past. But through a dedication for forgiveness and moving on and cutting cords and releasing, you will set yourself free. I lived most of my life carrying the resentment and anger and wounds of my past for years, for a long, long time, too long, in fact. So it took quite a long time to release and to forgive, but it set me free. And it is quite a big undertaking that we can go through, but through forgiveness allows for ourselves to return to our whole being. Cultivate inner harmony and peace through mindfulness, meditation, or grounding practices to calm chronic unease. When you meditate, practice yoga, or any other mindfulness exercises, you are reprogramming your system. As soon as you notice yourself being triggered or old patterns starting to show up, which they will, simply drop into a mindfulness exercise. If it is meditation, if it is yoga, if it is journaling, whatever you feel gravitated towards, it will allow you to reprogram your body, your body's natural reactions, which will be to close down. When you can identify these moments when emotions are surfacing, or this unsettling feeling, for example, or wanting to withdraw altogether, catch it right away and allow your body to feel the contrast of it. So if you're wanting to close down and protect yourself and shut people out, allow your body to open up a little bit more. Or if you're feeling uneasy and restless or uncomfortable, drop into a mindfulness exercise to allow your body to feel peace and feel relaxed. And this is how we reprogram our body's natural protective impulses and reactions to life. Integrate spiritual or creative expression as a way to elevate your consciousness and share your unique perspective safely. Expression is part of what we do, who we are, how we communicate. So simply through expressing, maybe in a collaborative environment with a friend, or even through creative expression, if it's arts or music or anything of that nature. We all know some of the most talented people create when they are processing emotions, when they've gone through great difficulties. And this is a very, very powerful outlet for us to express our deeper experiences and deeper aspects of self. Observe attachments to approval, comparison, or perfectionism, and practice letting go to reconnect with your authentic self. All right, so continual mindfulness and observation around where you're holding on to old beliefs and patterns of being perfect, of comparing to others, or seeking approval. Attachments in this case will refer to when we are holding on to very familiar behavioral patternings regarding perfectionism, how we are placing a great deal of perfectionism on ourselves, how we're performing, how we look, what we're doing. We can also project that onto others as a shadow response, projecting perfectionism onto others, trying to control others, telling others what to do, but also comparing to others, looking at the outer world, other people, other people's success, other people's happiness, and feeling that we are flawed. There also can be a drive for approval by performing, by doing things right, by saying certain things, by kind of fluffing ourselves up in a way of, look at me and this is what I've done, etc. We can become very attached to these behavioral patterns, become very used to them because they feel safe. They feel, gives us a moment of recognition and a sense of self that has been distorted or fragmented or lost. And then finally, the last is nurture your inner child to restore safety, belonging, and the ability to receive love without fear or harm, right? So nurturing the inner child means to return back to your child self of when you felt that it was unsafe to love, when you felt it was unsafe to receive love, compassion, nurturance, when you felt that it was unsafe to feel, when you felt that maybe it was uncomfortable or people criticized your emotions, right? So go back to the inner child, go back to your child self of where it first originated, and allow yourself to feel compassion in that moment in time. I've found that when I've been able to travel back to my child self in certain moments, I've been able to create the greatest shifts in healing. So being able to travel back and give your child self the love that it needed at that time, the acceptance that it needed at that time, being seen, being understood, feeling safe at that time will create a great shift within your practice. All right, so that is it. That is all for skin issues. If you would like to go deeper into this work, there is an episode over at the Odyssey of Self in the members section for you to dissect some of the actual passages, which are very deep and very thorough, plus also guidance as well over there for you to work through. And there is a link to the Odyssey of Self in the description area below. I'm wishing you all the best on your journey and beyond. Until next time, take care.